thank you everyone for joining us. And as I said earlier, it's a bit misfortunate of the situation that many of the, let's say, especially students that were supposed to be with us here today couldn't come, but I'm happy to see that we have a very large audience connected in live stream now. So if you have just connected, welcome to the second panel of Italian Design Icons, Shanghai edition. As you know, this edition is focused on design and materials, the power of creativity and performance. And this very panel, it's, let's say, the most unique of the 3-day exhibition that we have, because as the title says, it's going to focus on design points of view. And more specifically, I would say, uniqueness of this panel is that each speaker will answer the same question, but from their very unique point of view. So we have fashion representative, architecture, interior design, and then FMCG and overall branding. So here to give you some more details of the speakers that we have with us today, Francesco Fioretto, who since 2010 has been working as a freelance art and creative director for fashion and luxury brands starting in Paris. In 2014, he joined Istituto Marangoni and then was appointed as head of education at Istituto Marangoni Shanghai in 2020. So you almost started like your journey a year and something ago here in China. Then we have Stefano Piontini, who joined Vudafieri Saverino Partners in 2013, right? And early in Italy, in China in 2013, so your journey has been quite longer. And today is the general manager of the Shanghai office and also a partner of it. And then what is noteworthy to mention here is that in 2021, he was awarded by Hurun as one of the most influential international designers in China. So congrats on that. And then last but not least, Gianmauro Vella, who has been a very popular speaker of IDI during the past editions. So thank you for joining us again. And apart from joining IDI once a year, he's been spending the last 7 years at PepsiCo. And today he's the head of PepsiCo Design, APAC and AMESA regions. And in this role, his focus extends from physical to the digital expressions of PepsiCo's brands. And also here, I'm very glad to mention that since the creation of the PepsiCo's Greater China Design Team in 2014, led by Gianmauro, the team has been awarded with more than 350 design awards. So I guess this also deserves an applause. Now, as I said, I will start the panel, and I will start with the one question that I will ask the speakers to answer in a row, starting from Francesco. So to start this panel, what I would like to hear from you is, what does design mean, in your case, in fashion, then to Stefano in architecture, and to Gianmauro in branding?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Also, thank you for everyone following our streaming. First of all, the main important things as an educator and coming from the fashion environment overall today is to make understand that the design process is not only material, it's not only tangible, it's not only clothes. The design process for me, for us, is mainly a mindset. So a mindset that should help to understand, analyze, and find a complex solution for a complex problem, and prototyping comprehensible solution as well. I want to also say that we use design even in education. So when we try to make understand to our students that the design process is complex, but also must be also delivered in an accessible and easy way, is because first of all, we want to focus to the intellectual part, to the research part. And let's say a very common thing in fashion is the famous thing of thinking out of the box. Okay. So I think that especially when we say about fashion design, is much more multidisciplinary. There are disciplines like fashion styling, fashion marketing, and fashion business, for instance, in more general, that also involve design process, strategic thinking, strategic design, research, mix and match. I'm maybe using lot of very fashion terminology, but
no, we're still following you.
Okay, yes, please. And overall, one thing that maybe later I would like to introduce is the latest fashion transformation of the garments in the digital world. So, in conclusion, we are going to always more liquid and less material challenge in defining the word of design, and is absolutely important for also different point of view to try maybe to agree and understand this pathway that we have. We are in streaming, for instance, in this moment. Are we material or not?
Oh, okay, Stefano, he's passing you a hot question. Are we material or not? No, but jokes apart, before going to the actual materials that we will discuss, yeah, please, what does design mean to you as an architect?
Yes. I like what Francesco said about the process. Basically, design is truly a process, and today more than before, it's a process that cannot be done alone. For us, for architects, for interior designers, it's basically not anymore time to have an archistar, to have one single player. It's more a team job, more and more a team job. It's rare today with the quantity of information and the quantity of inputs that we have in the world to have one single person to digest everything and to be ready to propose a design by himself. It's more a teamwork, smaller or bigger, but there is always a team, there is a confrontation. For us, the process, it's like what we define a sort of holistic process, meaning that you need to talk with your client, you need to talk with the final user, you need to have in mind what is the necessity, which are the necessities and which are the purposes of your design. Focus to have, to include not only, for example, if I design a shopping mall today, I need to understand, okay, which are your main entrances, which are the technical limitations that we have, which are the actors involved, what is representing to have a door there or a door in another position, which is the visual merchandising that will go to apply his own job in this place, which is the direction that you want to give, which is the style that you want to propose. And these are all basically big bubbles that little by little you refine. It's like going down in the pyramid, in an opposite pyramid, and going down to define your architectural object. So, and you cannot do it alone. You need a team, you need professionals, you need involve many more people. Today, as architects, we work with lighting designers, with visual merchandisers, with graphics, because we need to have logos, we need to have directions. We need to have a lot of things that before were somehow or just avoided or just overthought or thought later. So everything combined make the design. Today is more, literally be a designer is more to be a coordinator, more to be a sort of director. It's like an orchestra and you have violins, you have all the instruments and you need to coordinate them and sing together. Otherwise, if one made a mistake, it's on you. You are the director.
Fair enough. And I think this is the perfect transition to Gianmauro. I mean, I guess coordinator, you're coordinating many countries around the world in many different time zones. So I don't know if starting with this job, your approach and perception of design changed, but what does design mean to you and to your industry?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me. We start from design as a liquid, then we go into bubbles and pyramid. Now, I feel a bit of pressure here. Coming from an FMCG world, for us, design is very simple. It's all about people. Process, tools, these are very important These are very important assets to bring you from point A to point B, but the reality is that the way how we frame design is all about people. The people that you know, the people that you spend time with, or the people that you don't know. And when you work in an FMCG company, you are basically touching people that can be from a country like China, that is like 1 million of people, or simply for those people that might go just in that specific shop because you are doing a limited edition collection. So it's clear that people became the starting as well as the ending point, and that's why we usually consider the idea of design or the concept of design as a bridge that connect the brand that you represent, no matter what brand it is, and the people that is actually the final consumer. And the way how we usually call this bridge is experience. It's clear that in today's world, there are three very fundamental concepts that we always need to take in consideration. The first is creativity. As a designer, I think creativity is at the core of what we do. But I think this is where there is a big misconception in today's world. People think that designers are those that just doing fashion or space or graphic. The reality is that the way how we see the world is that creativity is about problem solving. So everybody can be creative, from a finance person, a legal person, even the bawan, in the way how they might solve their own daily problem. Design is just the visual expression of this problem solving. And this visual expression happen across different medium and across discipline. So Gianmaria and Michele, and the way how in the previous speech they were talking about how to solve problems through architecture. Stefano through architecture, Francesco through fashion, but these are just visual expressions. So the point is, how can we solve a problem for people, because as I say, it's all about people, in a creative way, in a unique way. The other two very important aspects are empathy. Empathy is, I think, at the core of everything we do, and is the ability of understanding consumer needs. There is another big misunderstanding in today's world, is the difference between art and design. Art is about a creation for self-expression, for self-gratification. It's something that doesn't necessarily need to solve anyone's problem, except some visual or emotional provocation or stimulus that creation can provide you. But design is not like this. Design is about understanding, as I mentioned before, through empathy, the consumer problem, and then translate them in solution. And then the last one is about strategy. Strategy, I think, is where the money comes into play. Strategy is about understanding the company that you're working for, understanding what are the needs of this company from an R&D perspective, manufacturer perspective, what are the limitations, what are the constraints, what are those last-minute laws that all of a sudden change entirely the full picture, and then translate those strategy need, those empathy need, and then utilize creativity to close the loop and then create solution that can provide the ultimate product for consumer.
Thank you. I think this was a very interesting start of this panel. I would like to kind of link to something that I do believe is going to impact all industries in one way or another, and also following what, I mean, Francesco, he mentioned digital. Stefano, he's talking about creating spaces for people. Gianmauro is about creativity, empathy, strategy, but how do all these, let's say, factors combine into a digital world? So we hear about digital innovation being, spoken about almost every day, especially in China. It's a highly digitalized country, especially these days comparing to the rest of the world. So my question for you now is, to what extent do you think digital in all its shapes is going to affect your industries, especially if you can touch upon the latest news about metaverse, about artificial intelligence? So if you have, what is your point of view on this?
Okay. Do we have 4 or 5 hours to talk about it?
No, I would say more like 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay. First of all, yeah, I think that these 3 points of views are really useful because, of course, people are important. And try to link with what Gianmauro was saying before, is what happened to the people when we go to the metaverse, when the digital world. What will happen? How we will become? To try to understand that, or to try to see, first of all, our life are already there. So the big, like purchasing online. We have all, not one profile account. We have 4, 5, 6 profile account. These are extension of our identity. These are representing and extending type of behavior that we can have, and sometimes revealing aspects that are not exactly related to our physical presence. I make an example. And also I want to talk about, for instance, this distinction between digital and physical, which for me is really not existing more somehow, at least for the category that we are used to label some things. I make an example. I can go now in the city center and go in a boutique, in a physical boutique, and I see a pair of shoes. I like them, but my number is not there. I try and my number is not there. So what happens now in main of the selling points today, that the salespeople, they tell you, they hold you there and they go on the website and they purchase there for you on site that pair of shoes which is shipped to your house. I would like to ask, is this an offline or online purchase? Because it's a cool one, maybe. So first of all, I think we should start to use the proper word, which is omnichannel. So the word omnichannel explain again the complexity of our behavior. Then for the metaverse, and I launched the digital because in the end we always go there. The metaverse already exists in different shades and in different things that are transforming the material, let's say, into a visual representation that is perceived as different as the real one. I think that the latest real transformation that, for instance, is happening in fashion, and maybe one day will happen also to food and beverage, maybe, is that there is a new idea of designing garments, items, accessories. They don't absolutely have no interest to be created and fabricated for the real world. Now, this can sound somehow like scary, or can sound, okay, where these garments are gonna be then displayed. Because I can buy online and in the digital store, but the point is that where I'm gonna wear this digital garment? Gaming, okay. Avatar, okay. Or imagine one other things. Our, again, life in the social media, which contains a lot of pictures, which are a digitalization of our image, also contains real garments that maybe we buy, we wear, we take a picture, and then we don't use it anymore. There is, in different institutes of research, that in the future, one of the challenge to enhance the sustainability in fashion will be to try to move a lot of purchases from the material to the immaterial as soon as the metaverse becomes a social place where we don't just go to buy, we go to have a social life. I have no idea how will it be, but I can bet, and also I can see, and also we are already working in school about designing digital-only collection that, ugly or not, at least they will not pollute this country, this world, in the process of manufacturing, and will also maybe try to make the purchases, the real purchases, in a slow way, more smart, more needed, more slow. Now, the metaverse represents more or less this, will represent place of exhibition of our personality, not only places of purchase. How will it look like? I have no idea yet, but I can bet that will look vintage. They will look old school. They will not look human, because it's the case of Instagram again. When Instagram appears, the trends in photography shows that the digital photography makes us go to rediscover the film, this disposable camera, and there will always be a compensation in the physical world about the future evolution. So, to conclude, now I went too long, sorry. Let's use all these tools in a smart way. Let's imagine that the digitalization can solve some problem and not create a new, hopefully. And yeah, get ready because it's gonna go crazy, I think, in the future. It's gonna go really, really crazy on what is gonna happen to the life of all of us.
I mean, I hear you saying crazy, but I feel some enthusiasm. So I guess maybe in 1 year or two, we will have another opportunity to do another points of view and see how things will have evolved.
Yes, maybe
Yes.
we will not be physically here.
Maybe. No, but for you, Stefano, also, I do believe that especially the factor is something that maybe is already playing a role within your project, starting from stores to the more complex projects that you're doing. But what does digital mean to you?
First of all, I'm a bit scared from what he said because basically for us the clients are already difficult now with the offline choose of rooms and so on. You can imagine if we go online what will happen because they will ask us to design a beautiful cabinet, walk-in closet for the digital clothes. That will be not a room, but will be infinite. So we are already a bit scared about that. No, jokes apart, metaverse and so on is a wonderful opportunity that, as you rightly said, has to be used in the right way, with the right purpose. It provides a lot of interesting things, but as designers, we need also to, I think, in somehow design is a responsibility because we need to link in somehow these experiences with the offline. I mean, the real dilemma sometimes that there is now today is how much digital, how much offline has to be the architecture, has to be the design, has to be an experience. Somehow the design is an experience. We are, for ourselves, for interior design and so on, is matter of an experience. So translate an experience online and offline change dramatically. Today offline, you can touch the materials, smell the materials, have a sensation. Online, you still miss part of it. Maybe we will arrive. The metaverse is provoking and is going there. Maybe if you put yourself with a mask and you go digital, you can smell the fantastic sea that we have here with the Fincantieri picture. We can touch the sand. We can have everything in our hands. And it seems all real. It will be a big matrix in somehow. But is it the true real world that we want? Is it the true real thing that we want? In somehow, the new generation, for example, of China, the so-called Gen Z, is actually more and more allergic to the media, to the instruments of the digital world. They are much more interested in real experiences. Then they will share it in the digital world. They will use the digital world to share, but they are eager also to get a real nice expression of real things, of real dynamic situations. We pass from the 90s where you were seeing the growth and the first technologies applying, and the Gen X basically was just dropped into a digital world, and we were super curious to see everything and to have the latest generation of every single digital thing. Today there are not anymore the cues as the launch of the new Apple iPhone is there. So it's beginning to be a bit more in control, this kind of big splash, okay, I need to have the latest version, the latest thing, the latest model. And it somehow is linked more and more with, for example, I like the sentence about art. The art is self-expression. And there are a lot there is a lot of curiosity today around art. China is one of the places that the art has more exhibition than anywhere else. And it's an exhibition that you need to go to see. There is no way that a piece of art is there offline and you have the same emotion that seeing it for real. Also because art, often you need to have an atmosphere around. You need to put the piece of art in the right position, in the right light, and so on. There is a study behind. So these are all things that maybe in the future, I hope, as far as possible, it will be in the metaverse. But at the same time, is a real sensation that we still need to define. Then there is the aspect, the other point of the AI. AI today is a wonderful tool. That's super a big tool. Again, be responsible to use it. But for example, if I look at the latest creation of Philip Stark, there is a beautiful chair for Cartel done exactly by an AI. It's ugly like the hell, in my opinion. It's super ugly, the chair, but it's extremely comfortable because it exactly defines how you sit down in the perfect way. So it's wonderful. It's perfect. It's like the most German product ever made. So the AI helps a lot in this, but for me it has to be read as a suggestion, meaning, okay, this is the most comfortable chair, it's ugly, it's up to you then, designer, with your creativity to improve this. Meaning I give you the tools to be hyper-functional, and then you make it beautiful. You make it good for the people to see and to buy it, and to have a difference of products, difference of, if not everything is under AI and every brand will look the same. So the creativity role is to be different and not have the same chair produced by all the producers, basically.
I see. No,
I summarize a lot. If not, yes, we will.
No, I mean, I hope there will be more time to go through that. But Gianmauro, I mean, from 7 years in PepsiCo, I guess you've seen it all. But how is digital affecting your industry?
You guys really talk a lot, and in a very confusing way. So I think we need to be very specific in the way how we want to frame the word digital, because we talk about technology with the AI, we talk about the metaverse that is more like this entertainment or social communication way. We talk about digital from a commerce perspective and everything that goes on into the e-commerce. So talking about digital under one unified umbrella, I found it extremely complex. And that's why I think we need to be very careful, because otherwise we're going to make a melting pot, and I believe that most of the people might get confused. I can grasp a couple of areas where I think the digital world is impacting today's, but will impact also the future. And at contrary of you, I'm actually very looking forward for it. I think, well, on the commerce way, we are all very familiar with the digital platform. I think more and more the e-commerce, especially here in China, is really demonstrating how this is an alternative way, sometimes even better than the physical way to purchase product. And this is not just because of the way how you can purchase the product, but because it gives all of us a voice on the product. If you were buying a product 10 years ago, you just go in the store, and the only person that was able to talk about that product is the seller. And he clearly gives you the best story and the best angle of that product. But right now, everything became more democratical. I think that is a beautiful tool that we all have. You want to buy a new television, you want to buy a new phone, you want to buy a new piece of cloth, you go online, you check what the brand want to communicate, then you all scroll down, and as you go down in the comment, you see what all of us think. So I love the way how the e-commerce is bringing a lot of democratical point of view on the way how people purchase things. And again, I think China is without any doubt the most advanced environment, the most advanced country where this is going to grow. And again, there are already a lot of opportunity. You watch a movie, and then in the movie scene there is your favorite actor wearing a clothes, you can scan, and then you can buy directly the clothes. So it became more and more integrated in our life, and that's, I think, is beautiful. Then there is the digital in the context of entertainment and social media. I think in the past few years there was this huge boom on anything that social media basically made our own daily life. in regard of how we consume information. A lot of time you tend to consume information more on social media than on official media. And this is a very important tool because, again, as a brand, the way how you are talking to consumer might gonna be completely different. If you are creating a new piece of architecture, a new piece of cloth, you might utilize a social media versus like an editorial piece of print like you were doing in the past. So again, social media are becoming more and more relevant in today's life, and with the metaverse or whatever universe they are going to create, I'm pretty sure that brands will have a creative way to present themselves to consumer or to people. If you think about like even music in the music industry, they are now like launching music album in video game. I mean, this is something that if you were thinking about a few years ago was basically impossible to even imagine. But then I think the digital world where it's becoming extremely important is on our sector, I think on the design sector. I love Francesco in the first answer, he talked about prototyping. And then Stefano just now mentioned the idea of AI. I think as a creator, the digital world will become more and more important. The first is because the artificial intelligence. I mean, the fact that you are going to have intelligent software and computer that will be able to substitute humans in doing the duty work, I think is beautiful, because this will allows us to, first of all, enjoy more life, but then utilize the mind and the creativity in a more deep way rather than just doing things. But then second of all is the way how we can prototype things. I mean, if you think about right now, we already utilize digital as a way of prototyping. When you're presenting your idea to your client, you're utilizing a rendering that is a digital generated image that sort of like predict what will be the final output. That is already digital way to prototype an idea. VR, like a virtual reality, this is another way. Right now you are building an architecture, and instead of like showing the computer on the print, you can wear your helmet and you allow people to immerse themselves in the space. And again, that's something that you might sit in Italy, you're doing a project for Shanghai, and then you just put your headset and suddenly you are in Shanghai. I mean, that's to me is outstanding. But then I think that is the most important things, that is where us as a creative people should really put a look into the digital world, and it's connected with the social media one. How to create solution that people want to take photo and advertise to their social media. Because the reality is that everything you do, you want everybody that consume it to become your brand or product ambassador. Because if I'm designing that chair, my ultimate goal is beyond having people to enjoy the way how the chair can provide ergonomy, is for people to take photo and post on social media. Because if you're doing that, I'm becoming a brand ambassador of that chair, so technically I help you as a creator to propagate what you just create. And that's why I think it's very important every time that we create something to create that stimulus for people to say, wow, that's beautiful. I take a photo and I post on social media. Because that's the best way how you can maximize the physical expression of the object that you create, or the space, or the fashion, clothes, and so on, into the digital world.
I would like to take this last point that you mentioned about especially brand and product ambassadors and going from the intangible to the tangible context within your industries. And, you know, as IDI topic, we have design and materials. So materials is a very important focus for our edition this year. And same as we did for the previous panel discussion on architecture, I would like to talk about sustainability. So sustainability of materials, and how is this going to impact your industry? I mean, if it has already started, how, and how do you see it evolving? And also, based also on what Gianmauro was saying, how do you see this influencing the way people and creators want to cooperate with the brands and with the products that you create and produce?
I'm always the first.
Always.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of course, we have a mission as a school, first of all, to start from the very beginning to start to say that there is no other way that is not sustainable fashion today. So in the curriculum, we introduced practically only type of fashion design and prototyping that are imagining a reduced use of materials, almost zero, because zero is also very difficult, but almost circular process of reuse of materials. But also in fashion, one of the most interesting things that happened lately is the technique of the upcycling, because the upcycling is not only a mechanical scientific way to reuse and recycle material. It's a new form of art. It's a very interesting new form of art that can be defined une nouvelle couture, like a new way to make unique pieces. And in terms of sustainability, is recycling not used garment. Sometimes also very prestigious fabrics and very prestigious garments, they are deconstructed and reconstructed. And the outcome, also in terms of looks, and the reason why we use the word upcycling is because before, if you think about recycling, the word recycling for a luxury garment, how do you feel? You may not feel to see, oh, that's amazing. But actually, I can tell you just one case of an upcycling collection done by a French studio, which is also a French magazine, Antidote magazine, that was presented in Seoul Fashion Week in 2017, the very first fully upcycling and vegan collection in Seoul Fashion Week and in a mall of the city that unfortunately I don't recall. The collection went sold out in 2 weeks. Why? Because there was a whole process of endorsement, of styling, of tasting. The magazine is a trendsetter, and the trend, aesthetic trend of the mix and match, also the something that comes back from the 90s, is coming back today. So this aesthetic belongs to the taste of the new generation. If you see the new generation today, how they dress up and mix and match, it looks like really a sort of recycling from your old wardrobe and redesign your look on yourself. And it's going more and more. And the last things that for me is absolutely vital is the role of the vintage market that today is becoming a really big thing. Huh? Digital vintage market. In the future we will have the digital vintage market. That would be great. But anyway, like the value of a 1976 jacket of Dior that we can rebuy today, that will be is impressive. It's a piece of archive. So I think that maybe not vintage of 10 years, but vintage of 5 years, that in fashion is still a lot. So we can organize a proper system that look forward and also create new artistic and creative opportunity. For what are more technical process of material, I'm not really the best person to talk about it, but maybe my next colleagues.
For the technical
I will throw the bucket
now.
there. But yeah, for me, circular fashion, organic product, upcycling, and second-hand fashion system would be definitely the future.
Thank you.
Well, talking about technical and professionalism, yeah, as architect today we have a bit that kind of atmosphere around us, especially after a beautiful article of Elle Decor in United States that say that each architect today is weighting like 162 people in terms of sustainability. That is basically blaming architects and preparing lawyers to sue architects all over the world. But no, it's just a joke. I feel that that article was just a bit of crap, a bunch of crap. But by the way, in terms of sustainability, we should be professional as architects, but we should be also a bit more lovers of what we are doing, meaning that today architecture is a synonym of sustainability. As he said, you start from the university, you start from the early stage to learn that you should produce and have architectural architectures and design that are basically not forever, but considering a limited time of usage of these structures. And again, then you have clients, then you have opinions, then you have other kind of things that you need to look at. And as well, you need to be creative in being professional. Sustainability today is everywhere around us. I mean, I like the strategy of China, for example, about the garbage system. Today, Shanghai, you have all the trash bin, the black one, the blue one, the red one, and so on. But actually, if you look at it, a few years ago, when I arrived in China, there were already few little guys that arrive in the compound, take their own little chariot, they collect the plastic from the trash bin, and they were already separating the trash, making sustainability somehow in their own way. Yes, now it's more matter of money rather than before. It's all matter of rules and the idea that you have behind. But again, sustainability is not just a word and it's not just a strategy that you can make in COP26 or this kind of events. It's a matter of every one of us look at what we can do day by day and improve a little by little in all the way that we can do. Buying apples, not packaged in full plastic, but buying from the grocery and take it off. That will become against the market of the metaverse, but that's another issue. Or the Taobao packaging that is quite cool in this sense. And again, all these strategies for us, for architects, we need to little by little digest and implement in our concepts, in our buildings and so on. Sometimes it's very difficult to combine creativity and sustainability. It's really hard, but again, there is a beautiful term, upcycling, that I think should be translated also as well in the architecture. There are ugly buildings today that can be upcycled, and upcycled in a way also that they are becoming sustainable. Using solar panels, using smart system of recovering the water, using terraces and green environment to provide more eco-friendly solutions for shadowing and so on, are all strategies that can be applied. There was one thing that we were very proud of. We generally do retail for luxury. We did a beautiful store of Delvaux in K11 Hong Kong, and we were awarded by LEED Gold. And basically it was something that we didn't even look for that. So it means that our job was already well in front in this sense. And I was almost surprised because I was considering what we used with materials and so on. And at the beginning, we didn't even think about a LEED certification and so on. Then little by little, I understood that the materials we were using were really much inside this certification. Today, for example, we are working with brands that are looking to be at least gold. So, and the target is platinum, to go in another level of reach this kind of sustainability. And obviously, again, it's a matter of sensibility and more understanding the possibilities that the AI and technologies today are much more advanced and much easier to let understand also the normal people these processes.
Thank you very much. Gianmauro, your point of view on sustainability.
If design is about people, I think sustainability is about people, in the sense that I think, first of all, sustainability is a collective effort. And I think this is something that we all need to start to put in our mind, because we tend to point the finger too easily in towards company and or specific manufacturer reality, but the reality is that sustainability is a collective effort. Similarly to the digital world, talking about sustainability as a one unified story is extremely complex. And that's why I think we really need to start to split different area of sustainability. First of all, to make it more digestible for people to understand, but also to be more specific on what we are referring to. If in the fashion world, such as in FMCG world, there is a very important branch that is around recycle. Recycle is a very important thing in the sustainable world because allow you to recycle, so to reutilize and to remanufacture with previously utilized material in creating something else. So that is one area of sustainability that clearly, from both manufacturer perspective and therefore the product that we utilize, but then also from infrastructure perspective. So having within the different community, having within the different country, facilities that allow you to recycle, and then obviously all of us as a collective effort in being active in splitting things to be able to recycle them is a clearly important. If recycle is an aspect of the sustainability, it's clear that manufacture is another one. How can we manufacture things taking in consideration the sustainability? That can be from a recyclability perspective or the biodegradability perspective. In our case, we are now rolling out, for instance, in Europe, RPT, so our normal bottle, utilizing 100% recycled material. So basically, we are reutilizing the material that was utilizing before to create a new product. And by doing that, basically, you are creating a loop where you are not going to create a new product. The third aspect is about the manufacture. Manufacture is, in many fields, one of the most dangerous things whenever you're talking about sustainability, because sometimes to produce something, you create actually more waste and more damage than that something itself. So how can we improve the way how we recycle, the way how we manufacture, by even creating like enclosed water system that allow you to reutilize the same water whenever you're producing something, rather than taking new water in your overall production. But then the last one that I think is the most important is us, and is the behavior that we have in regard of anything that we purchase and anything that we consume, and the way how we dispose and the way how we utilize things. The government, luckily, is now doing a lot of action in this regard. E-commerce, you mentioned before with the example of the Apple, is an area where the Chinese government is applying new law, where they basically, starting from the last October, they ban company to overproduce packaging for things that can be like a mooncake or things that can be like a multi-pack. This is a beautiful effort, because by reducing from a top-down perspective the opportunity to create waste, everybody will start to become more conscious. But it's clear that, and this is where we as organization are becoming more and more active, everything, as everything in life, starts from education. So the most important thing about sustainability is to educate people from the kindergarten school to the local community to different institutions. In our case, we just roll out a PEP positive playbook that is basically our program, where we are defining different area of intervention, where as a company we are basically addressing the sustainability program, but this is all about us. So I really want to encourage everyone to really think about the way how you dispose your waste. Think about the way how you are consuming product, whether you need to get another extra bottle of water, or you may want to refill the bottle that you already have with the water fountain that you can find basically everywhere. So yeah, that's my shortest answer.
No, I take advantage of this word that you just said, education, but to approach it from a different perspective. So, we've been talking about digital, we've been talking about sustainability, what is necessary, what is changing, how industries are evolving in all their different shapes and approaches. So also for the young talents that are here, that are following us, that will watch this video, what would you recommend in terms of the necessary skills to be competitive in the market? So taking into consideration all these factors that we mentioned so far, even if it's complex, even if it's, still evolving, even as we talk, what would you recommend? We can start for you. This time is fair. You're, working in a school. You can start.
Okay, I wanna be really short in
Yes,
this
please.
because
We
sorry,
have 10 minutes left.
no, but Monday one film, Tuesday a book, Wednesday an exhibition, Thursday go out and see some friends, Friday free topic. No, yeah, whatever. Like research in one word. So the most important things that we require in the market, and that's why we mostly teach in a school, is qualitative research methods, which involves also the daily life. And the research today, the research, and this is something I want to unfortunately blame the universe of social media, is reduced. Creative research is reduced too much to a little word taped in any browsing application that can be Google, Baidu, or even more specific like Instagram, Pinterest, Redbook. Like we can go also in something more sectoral, but this is not a qualitative research. And also, when overall, I want to say that to the young generation, because actually it seems it's saving your time, but actually it's not. If you spend 2 hours in a bookshop, even if the books are vintage now, but if you open one old fashion magazine, only one old, and you page by page take note to all the names of all the brands, all the collection, all the 200 pages, and even if you look the old advertisement, you have composed a much better research that typing the words that everybody of us can do in a social media, which, by the way, talking about AI, I said it was short.
Francesco's short version.
I'm shorter than before. So, which, by the way, again, with the AI present in the social media, it's not even that accurate. There is the same word, because if we will write the same words, and we have all different research, this may be funny, but it means that the final research is not accurate. So, I will not only say books, magazine, films, maybe not only at home in the cinema, and exhibition, and more physical activity, and
research.
And research again. Okay, so this was much important.
Thank you, thank you.
Difficult for me, no. Yeah.
You have the weekend. You have the weekend.
Actually, for this question, I was listening 1 year ago, more or less, a podcast made by Mauro Porcini, In Your Shoes, and he was talking with Fabio Novembre, one of the most histrionic architects and designers in Italy today. And he was saying a very, very beautiful thing, that we need to be all a little less professional and a little more amateur. Amateur seems a bad word sometimes in this world, because you point somebody and say, you are an amateur. You are an amateur in a bad way. Actually, amateur in French means lover, and is a beautiful word. And we need to be more passionate of what we are doing. Students today need to have more passion, need to have, again, curiosity, go to a library, go to find things around and so on. Be more enthusiastic of what they are doing, more passionate in everything you are putting efforts in. And this is a beautiful thing, and it's truly the best advice we can give today. Don't focus sometimes to be professional, to be rigid, to be cold. Be a bit out of the schemes, be creative. And creativity means being amateur, being a lover.
Thank you so much.
The vintage lover. So I will go very in a bullet point way. I connect to the first. I think be curious is without any doubt the most important skills that you should have as a human being. I think we are all still students, as every day we are all learning new things. So curiosity is without any doubt, to me, the engine of growth. The second one is being humble. I think in today's world, everybody wants to have everything right now, and there is a lack of patience. I think social media in this regard are actually jeopardizing today's society, because we tend to have this instant gratification whenever we swipe left or right, or whenever we put like, and this is not life. Whenever you start a new job, you need to give yourself and the company time to understand, to absorb, and then to really realize where you are. And today's generation, it tend to be very impatient. They think that they in few months they understand everything, and I think this could potentially be a big mistake. So being humble is definitely a very important thing. Being arrogant is also, I think, very important in the way how you should challenge the status quo and not just follow the flow. I think one of the biggest learn that I had when I was a student was not necessarily from the teacher, but was from my colleague, because we were challenging each other to create the best output, and that is the only way how you can grow. If you challenge yourself and become a better person, and being arrogant on some degree and the way how you do it, I think is definitely the best way for you to grow in a healthy way. Don't care about money. I know that this is a very bold statement, but money comes and goes, and especially if you look at today, like a cryptocurrency world, you can really get access to money very quickly and very easily. But what you can't get access quickly and easily is happiness. And most of the time, you might face yourself in front of two job offers. One is a lot of money, but is a very bad job. And the other one is a little money, but in an amazing job, go with that one. Don't go to the one that gives you a lot of money, for the simple reason that happiness is the most important currency that you can have in life. Obviously, with that said, money are important. So as you grow in your career, you will be able to find a way to better understand how to achieve that. And then I think the last one that to me is again, as every year I'm here doing the presentation, I usually conclude with this slide, and is also the slide that I utilize in my own mental daily training, is be happy and love what you do. I think as a creator, we have a gift. And the gift is the fact that we are doing every day what we love, and every day we can really feel ourselves fulfilled by what we are doing. So try to always be happy and love what you do, because again, life is a gift, our job is a gift, and we just need to embrace it and be happy about it.
Thank you very much. I mean, for this conclusion that I believe it's inspirational not only for young talents, but as you said, for all of us, since we're all, in a way, students in what we're doing. Now, I concluded with the panel questions, but I am very glad to open the floor to the audience in case there's any questions. Please feel free. Okay, if we can get a microphone there.
Of course. Or do you need one, Carlo? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, congrats. I really like the atmosphere among all of you, and coming from different line of businesses, and give us really, as Francesco was saying, a learning curve today. Yes, money maybe is not everything. I like there was Khabib, the big UFC champion, to say, I want to make a lot of money, to say to people the money is not important. And but the question that I want to do is, did we pass the border between the really ugly and the good things? We were discussing about the chair that is ugly but is good. The other guy that put a banana on the wall and it was sold for, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of US dollars. Or the other guy that did the paint to, when it was auctioned during the Christie, it was almost destroyed. But because it didn't destroy all of it, the value even doubled it. And do we need digital in order to find the new good things to see it? You were discussing about music inside the video games. So true. I also heard that they start to sell properties inside the video games in order to piece of land in order to build up your thing. So this mashup of things, and I like still to go to the bookstore and watching the old magazine. So how we can cope with all this info?
Okay, so I honestly don't know if I'm gonna answer correctly because the question was not necessarily filtered correctly from my brain. But so let's start to put a name. Okay, the banana guy is Catalan, and the Christie paint was Bansky. Do we need a digital world in the context where the physical is still giving a lot of emotion and revenue to people? I believe this is sort of the question. I think yes. I think it's not going to be a substitute. I think it's going to increment, it's going to implement what the physical world is offering you. And then is on us how we want to be part of that or not. I think if you think about the last year, because of the unfortunate pandemic, the digital world saved us because we now all learn how to utilize tools like Zoom or video call to literally substitute the physical meeting. And if you think about sustainability, and if you're looking at the data, the amount of carbon print that the airplane not flying was able to save in terms of like quality of the air was astonishing. So in that case, the digital world actually saved the physical world. It's clear that hugging our parents, as we are all in the other side of the world, is something that will be very hard to be replaced physically. So again, as everything, you need to balance things, but I think that the interaction of the two, it's definitely something that it's going to improve our life. I mean, my friend just came in. If you tell me watch a football match through a screen or watching him in the stadium, it's clear that it's a completely different experience. But still, you can enhance that digital experience eventually one day utilizing a VR, and although you are in your living room, and if in case your team score, you don't want to destroy everything, so you want to clean things around you in case you need to jump, that digital experience can be improved. So yes, why not?
Then your neighbors will hear you screaming, but that's
They're already hearing that. So.
I agree with this. Also, there is another point. Bansky and Catalan will not be so valuable if the social media didn't amplify the event. Basically, social media and digital world are amplifying what happened in the real life. And this is the power of the social media today, and the purpose that, as he correctly said, you advertise in somehow this kind of events, this kind of happening to get more noise. There was the beautiful event, let's say, the beautiful thing of Prada in the grocery market here in Shanghai. They packed up the veggies, the dairies, and so on, with a paper with the logo of Prada, and they wrap up the building with the logos of Prada, and everybody was going there just to take a picture and be social in that. It was a powerful moment for the social in the real world, somehow. Then, from my point of view, was sort of not purposed advertising, but that's a long discussion. Let's leave it for another moment. But again, social and real life combined, they can give obviously a plus.
Francesco, if you want to do the closing, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna, if there are any other questions, our speakers will be available. Okay.
Actually, the point to answer to the very first part of the question, the one of the involving Catalan and Banksy, for instance, as soon as there's somebody ready to buy, everything is possible. That's the main important things to know. I concede, so it seems like sometimes we're blaming the artist, but actually if there is somebody ready to buy at Christie's Or I can make another example. I don't recall the name of the artist, but an NFT which has a digital elaboration of a Louis Vuitton print was sold at $52 million in Christie's again. And you're technically not even buying the image, you're buying the number that certifies that you possess this art piece. As soon as there is somebody ready to buy, there's nothing we can do. We cannot stop experiment art. We cannot stop doing conceptual art. I think that the process of reinventing new form of art, unfortunately, will never stop. If we want to maybe say or try to understand how something can sometimes looks or let's say the words seems sometimes ridiculous. We need to understand how the system of art works. And the system, when I say art, I want to join the definition then that Jimmy was saying about art is not done for a specific need or purpose. I want to quote Oscar Wilde, who said art is useless by definition, unless it's not pure art. So as is useless, if his request goes in the top of the pyramid of needs, and so is absolutely when you are completely full of all and satisfied about all the needs, not individually but also collectively, that the desire to pursue something more above the physical can go crazy like that. So yeah, it's gonna be even more like the distinction between material and non-material art is already a fact. If $52 billion can buy a number, so but it's like it's law. Sometimes they replace, like if I buy a building, it's a paper that certifies my property. Technically, I'm signing. Is more important than the currency. So the problem of the authenticity and unicity, which creates the value, today with the digital can only be certified by numbers. But then the point that share or these things has a value of, I don't know, $10, no offense to the chair and the designer, but if a famous artist take a picture of the chair and post in his own digital and say this picture of me is on sales for $10 million, maybe it will be sold, and this will be always the answer.
Thank you very much. I know there are another couple of questions, but I have to close this panel to leave the floor to our next speaker. I mean, our speakers, if they can wait here 5 minutes so that, you know, if there are some answers, some questions for you, that we can, you know, provide them. And I want to thank you. Thank you very much for joining us here today, to the speakers, to the audience, to the audience in live streaming. And I just want to remind you to have a look at our agenda, because we're gonna have panel discussions and presentations until Sunday. So follow us on Italian Design Icons, and I thank you once again.